Thank you, Dirk, for the privilege to be here today. The World Resources Institute was founded 30 years ago, and in no small part as a response to the climate crisis. And so I came to Berlin a couple days ago, and the purpose of my trip was really to better understand this Germany energy transition, the turnaround. People are talking about it, and I wanted to get my head around what is it. And I'm coming away with the belief that this could be the single most important effort to tackle the climate crisis anywhere in the world today. And I don't think that's an exaggeration when you think about the scale of the challenge kind of beyond low-hanging fruit in an economy like Germany's. But the knowledge of Germany's energy transition is quite modest outside of Germany or Europe. In the run-up to the trip, my colleague Jennifer Morgan, who runs our climate program, and I conducted a survey of 30 experts in the climate and energy space from around the world, from India, from China, from the United States. Some of you are actually here today, to ask them some basic questions about what they knew about the Germany's energy transition. And so, just to share a couple of findings. The first was the world is taking notice. They're watching, but they have a fairly limited understanding. Just a few days before we came to Germany, there was an editorial in the Washington Post basically chastising Germany and Japan for the nuclear phase-out. This is the Washington Post, and it just got the analysis completely wrong. There's also a recognition, I think quite broadly, that the transition will be challenging. We heard a lot of people say that this could be, the scale of the challenge is as comparable to reunification. But almost everyone said, if anyone can do it, the Germans can. So no pressure, but there was an incredible recognition that this is a big challenge, but if any country is equipped to actually tackle it, Germany could. One of the questions we asked them was, what were the types of questions you had about Germany's energy transition? And they didn't have that many questions about why. And they didn't even have that many questions about what the transition was about. Their questions really focused on the how. They wanted to understand questions around implementation, around intermittency, around storage, around the costs. And they also had a lot of questions about the politics. Who are the losers? How did you overcome kind of vested interests? How did this get kind of encapsulated in such strong policy? And they also, different countries looked at Germany's energy transition from slightly different perspectives. So the relevance actually differs from country to country. In Japan, the feedback was more about nuclear phase-out. In the United States, it was more about jobs and competitiveness. So why am I talking about this on a panel regarding partnerships, right? And I come back to the point the Chancellor made in the morning. Germany, the G8, can't tackle the climate crisis on its own. The world has shifted, emissions have shifted. Germany's emissions, 2.6% of the world's emissions, right? The energy transition succeeds in Germany. It's not going to solve the climate crisis, as important as it may be. But what is incredibly important is the model that it serves for everyone else around how to decarbonize the power sector. I see this as a global public good. I really do. And to me, that is what, coming to my key point, why I think this is the moment where we need to begin to lay the foundation for constructing partnerships between Germany and a number of the other G20 countries, China's, the India's, the US's, so that they can begin to engage and learn about the questions that Germany is facing today. I recognize implementation has just started of the transition. I recognize there's a lot of problems. But don't discount how far Germany has already come, the knowledge that it has gained, and that there's an incredible amount of learning, both in terms of what works and what doesn't work. That'll be just incredibly valuable for the rest of the world. So what do I mean by some of these partnerships? Partnerships in the flagship report that you came out with around feed-in tariffs, around the design, around the architecture, around the institutions. Partnerships around transmission lines. What do you think about the regulatory frameworks or the institutional dimensions around transmission lines. Questions around how do you actually move towards kind of trade, removing trade barriers for kind of clean energy products? Could you imagine certain types of low-carbon unions being created between countries to facilitate this? So the point is, I know there's an incredible amount of focus right now on trying to get the implementation of the transition working. But I would argue that the world is watching, and there's an incredible opportunity here to engage the world in this transition. We all know the window is closing fast, and we all know that other countries need to accelerate their focus. And this is just a tremendous opportunity to move the world in that direction. Thank you.